coast to coast, it's your hosts, the Lombardi Leap and Mersey FB. This is Beyond the Frozen Tundra.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, the Lombardi Leap, here with Mercy FB. And let's talk the East-West Shrine Bowl Part 2. Talking about defense. Talked about offense. We had a lot to talk about the offense last episode. If you haven't checked that out yet, go back and check that out. But now we're going to talk about the side of the ball where you and I both think that most of our draft picks are going to go to and should go to.
At least half of them, maybe more.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to say that now that I think about that, because I feel like we're always spending, or at least for a while there, I felt like we were always spending draft picks on defensive players. And I mean, you can say we still did because, we traded for Micah Parsons on the defense. But we drafted Matthew Golden last year. The year before that was Jordan Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
And then was that LVN before Morgan, right?
Before LVN, it was Quay and Devontae Wyatt. And then Eric was the year before that. So
it's kind of been a little bit since they spent some high draft capital, at least on some defensive side.
True.
We know it's been a long time since they've drafted a cornerback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you start to kind of break down the roster, I've come to the realization that linebacker is a sneaky need. Quay is probably gone in free agency.
Yeah, I mean ESPN, or was it?
ESPN is very high on him. PFF is very low.
It was kind of weird too to see that. ESPN has him at 12, I think, and then PFF is 140.
Yeah. Additionally,
big drop off there.
Our listeners will know how much we dislike the defensive tackle room outside of two players. We'll get into the defensive line in a minute, and then additionally, the cornerback room we just don't like at all outside of the nickel, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to rank the rooms in order of priority, I'd probably in order of I'm comfortable with this room to what are you doing here, people? We need an upgrade really bad. I mean, I would say I'm probably most comfortable with the safety room.
Yes, most comfortable with the safety room, then linebackers,
really?
Then corner, then D tackle, then corner.
Oh, I would say I would go safety, defensive end room.
Oh right, yeah.
Room.
Defensive end too. I forgot about that.
Then linebacker, and then DT, and then cornerback. I feel like that's kind of the
issue with linebackers, you don't have depth, and that's the scary part.
And you're questioning whether or not you have a starter. Is it going to be Quay, or is Tyron Hopper? Does he have that ability?
Yeah, I'm more than okay with Tyron Hopper coming in and playing significant snaps. My issue is I don't want Isaiah McDuffie to play significant snaps.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you don't want Isaiah McDuffie starting. I'm fine with him being the third linebacker from time to time. But I don't want him wearing the green dot. I don't want him starting. And it's just a matter of what do you think of Hopper, and is he ready to do that? But more importantly here, none of that really matters unless you actually have a defensive tackle room that functions properly and isn't hurt and actually can anchor. And so speaking of a dude who absolutely rocked at the Shrine Bowl so much, he got invited to the Senior Bowl as well, so we might be talking about him twice. Darrell Jackson Jr., defensive tackle, Florida State University. This is a mammoth of a human being. 6'5", 328 pounds, 11-inch hands, 35-inch arms, and an 86-inch wingspan.
Very glad you read out the measurables this time and not me, because it went a lot smoother. Let's keep it that way for the rest of the episode.
I could do that.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Thanks. Freak athlete, incredible length, which he uses a lot. He uses leverage very well with a combination of length and power he has in his upper body specifically. However, he does lose pad level a couple times. He can play a little high. Think how Deone Walker played a little bit, but not quite to that same extent.
Oh yeah.
And you can definitely see where he could really use a good defensive line coach, and then you could get him to be that all-pro type defensive tackle.
And at the very least, too, we have a need for a one tech, and he can come in and slot right next to Devontae.
Oh, easily.
Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan. I watched him a lot here, being in Florida specifically, and so I got to see a bit more of the FSU games, even though they were were not a great team this year. And some of the other like beat writers and stuff like that, the Packers beat writers specifically, they kind of say, "Oh, well, he didn't play with strength all year." I disagree with that, and I disagree with that because Florida State was a bad team, and like they would just dogpile on Daryl Jackson Jr. It's like
Ye-
you can only do so much, man. Like the other guy's got to give you some help, and they weren't. And so it was basically the DJ show here. And still, though, like he was putting up a fight when sometimes they were bringing in like 2, 3 guys on him and just hammering the defensive tackle here. He reminds us both of a guy.
Well, I want you
who
to do
Jonathan
your
Gannon.
comp first, and then I can kind of get into mine.
Yeah. Well, I want to specifically talk about this
Okay.
too, because Jonathan Gannon is going to be a big influence
Mhm.
here. And like I said, I do get the Jeffrey Simmons vibes. I do get the Jeffrey Simmons vibes. But honestly, like I didn't even think of this comp until after you wrote it down. So I like your comp way better for this.
Yeah.
And it fits better specifically too because of Jonathan Gannon officially being announced as our defensive coordinator on February 2nd. So I love this comp. I'll let you talk about that.
So my thing with your comp, and you think that he's like Jeffrey Simmons, is that I think he's bigger than Jeffrey Simmons and doesn't have
Absolutely.
quite like Jeffrey Simmons is lighter and a little shorter. My comp is that he's Jordan Davis light. He's almost identical in measurables minus like 20 pounds. He now actually I think weighs what modern day Jordan Davis weighs because he's slimmed down
Probably
quite a lot in order to play. But he's not as quick as Davis is. He doesn't have that same freakish
Jordan
speed
Davis-
because Davis ran a
Davis is
4.78 or something like that. But still elite, like good first step as a defensive tackle.
I think Daryl's going to be a guy where he's going to come into the NFL and he's going to exceed what people expect from him.
Yeah, and a thing too that I haven't personally looked too deep into this is I've heard that he's good, like just clips of him speaking to the media. He's well spoken. That helps as a defensive tackle. Like if you're able to process the game well and read the blockers as they're happening in front of you, that is a good strength as well.
Yeah. And I mean, especially after his performance in the Shrine Bowl here, like I know people have pegged him for like a round 3, round 4. I mean, do you feel him sneaking into the second round here maybe?
If a team is really willing to take a chance on him, yeah. And I think his stock could rise post combine as well. Like if he performs really well in like the 3 cone and the 40 and a couple of the other on-field drills, then yes.
I was going to say, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he does in the combine and how that's going to affect his stock here. The next guy, you really like him, Landon Robinson, defensive tackle out of Navy. He is 5'11", just over 5'11", 291 pounds, 9-inch hands, 31, almost 32-inch arms here, and then almost a 77-inch wingspan.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch too many Navy games. I saw him every once in a while here. I did some research when you put him down on here. Like it'd be kind of cool to actually see a guy drafted
From Navy, yeah. So the first person, like when you think of them, though, when you hear those measurements, you're like, oh, that'll never work out in the NFL. Well, I tell you what, it has worked out in the NFL, and his name's Poona Ford. So that was my comp for him. I'll spoil that right now. But Landon Robertson plays with incredible leverage. He has a relentless motor as a pass rusher. Because he's a shorter defensive tackle, it's a little more irritating for guards to block him because he can get under their pads and kind of drive them up and back in the rush.
Who was it that Jason Kelsey said like he had the most difficulty
Poona
playing
Ford.
against? It was the shorter Poona Ford, yeah, the shorter DTs.
The shorter DTs. Poona also had like really long arms for his like body style. That's not quite the same for Landon Robinson. But another thing that works in Landon Robinson's favor is he was on the Feldman freak list. He squats like 700 pounds and can bench like 465.
Yeah, he was bench pressing battleships.
He squats 700 pounds, bench presses 465, power cleans 350.
Wow,
That's insane to me.
man. Do you think like, I mean, when do you feel him getting drafted? Like if he does get drafted?
I still think he'll be a back end of day 3 guy because he's a little lighter, but due to how incredibly strong he is, I think he should be a round 5 player.
Okay.
The consensus still has him like round 7 to UDFA, but I would draft him round 5 and not bat an eye.
Okay. Do you feel like this is somebody the Packers would maybe like? You and I both know that the Packers have their tendencies.
Well,
You know what I mean?
yes and no. Like, you've taken smaller defensive tackles before, or at least lighter defensive tackles.
Okay.
So that wouldn't shy me away. And this is one of the ones where you watch the tape, you hear about what he can do in the weight room. I would take him, but
In round
in round
5.
5, yes.
Okay. All right. Not bad. I mean, the freak athletes there, that's for sure. And we know they like that.
Mhm.
This next team, I was a big fan of Illinois this year, like for 2 reasons. One, our throwback jerseys were based off of their last year's jerseys, and I just think they're pretty cool. And then another reason too was they have a cornerback that went back to school that you and I both shall we say, are conflicting on. That was Xavier Scott.
Yeah.
I loved him. You didn't, but we're not going to talk about him because he's not in the draft. I'm glad he went back because he missed most of the season. We're going to talk about James Thompson Jr. He is almost 6'5", just shy of 6'5" here, 301 pounds, so a little lighter. 9 3/8 inch hands, 32-inch arms, 79 3/4 inch wingspan here. Kind of a lighter defensive tackle. Like, do you see him playing like the 1 tech, or is he more of a 3 tech?
I'd say he's more of a 3 tech, which we have like an excess of, but I think he's got the strength to hold up in the run game. All week he kicked people's butts in one-on-ones, and he even took over the Shrine Bowl game until he got hurt. I believe it was like midway through the second quarter.
Yeah, I can't remember. Was that a chest injury, if I recall?
I believe so, but at his build and the way he kind of plays with his hand usage and his power rushes, I comp him to Daquan Jones.
That's a solid comp.
I know you said you didn't watch a lot of Illinois games, but
Yeah, that's pretty good. Their defense was good. Like, and it showed. And I do believe James Thompson was a part of that, definitely
Mhm.
here. I think he's one of those guys where if the Packers take two defensive tackles, which, I mean, you and I could probably argue that they should take 2 defensive tackles, kind of given
yes.
how much Carl Brooks is going to get paid, how we are Colby Wooden's #1 fan. We're not. Spoiler alert. Quite the opposite. There is definitely a need there. I mean, Devontae Wyatt's going to be 28. He's not 28 already.
This is his age 28 season.
28 season, yeah. So he's an older prospect.
Not quite old as Akeem Messidor.
True. That is true. But James Thompson Jr., like, where do you see him going?
James Thompson Jr. again is another like back end of day 3, round 6 or 7 kind of player. Prior to the Shrine Bowl, he was a UDFA, so he has been able to raise his stock. Would I be as comfortable drafting James Thompson Jr. in the 5th round as I would be Landon Robinson? But if that's the way the board falls, I would still do it.
In the 5th or like in the 6th?
In the 5th.
A little high. That's a little steep.
Yeah.
The next guy I want to talk about here is Gary Smith III.
Okay.
Defensive tackle, UCLA. I know he says UCLA, that's just where he played last year. He's a Duke guy. He is a Blue Devil. And when it comes to Blue Devils, what is the one thing they have in common?
High IQ.
Yes. They're all basically doctors. This guy is basically your TJ Slayton replacement.
Okay.
100% through and through. I like him. I like the way he plays. I think that when it comes to Gary Smith, I'm gonna give you some of his career totals here. 111 tackles over 50 games, over 9.5 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. That's Dad Duke in UCLA. Just this past season, he had 39 tackles, 1.5 TFLs, half a sack, 5+ tackles in multiple games. He led the UCL D line in tackles while starting every game, and he missed 2024 to injury. So he's a redshirt senior, missed 21. Had his best season was in 2023. His full healthy year, 21 tackles, 3 TFLs, 2 sacks. That was at Duke. And he isn't the most athletic individual. Like the agility, you do see, especially on outside moves, the agility isn't there. But man, can this dude anchor, and he is so smart about it. Like, he will beat guys who are more athletic and better just because he is such a highly intelligent player. And it's almost like the game is already like super slow for him, which is kind of rare for this later round prospect kind of a guy. Like I said, the con there is the agility. This is a TJ Slayton guy. I'm not expecting him to turn tail and tackle the quarterback. He has done it in the past. I'm not saying he can't do it, but NFL, I'm not expecting it. He's definitely a guy who, let's say you want to goal line stand him, your early down run blocker, or early down run stuffer. I really like the Sebastian Joseph Day comp there for him. I think he's kind of a budget version of that. And I see him going like, yeah, he played well at the Shrine Bowl. Like he really did. And he especially at what he was good at. You remember Tavondre Sweat from a couple years ago?
Yeah. Ooh, that's another good
So-
Daryl Jackson Jr. comp. A little bit.
Yeah, actually, I was yeah, actually not bad. Yeah, Gary Smith is kind of the to for a more recent comp here is basically a 5th to 6th round Tavondre Sweat.
Okay.
Like that like not as obviously huge because Tavondre Sweat's like a
Yeah,
massive
he was like
money.
three. He was like 350. Actually, no, maybe not
Yeah.
a good Daryl Jackson Jr. comp because Tavondre Sweat was like 350 and moved like he had cinder blocks on his feet.
Well, when you're 350, you don't really have to move
Yeah.
all that far. And Gary Smith just has that kind of an anchor, though. Like, absolutely incredible anchor there. And I definitely think that if they go a 3-tech early, this is your 1-tech late. 100%. This guy, he could come in. He has the intelligence and IQ to like rotate in and start next to like Devontae White and such. He definitely very easily better than Colby Wooden. Absolutely. No questions asked. You and I had talked about some of the issues earlier, and we need to get into the real issues of the team here. Defensive tackle is a need. We know that. We saw it. We need a guy who can actually anchor versus the run, especially. But there's 2 issues here that one is a little more subliminal. We talked about linebacker, and then we also talked about cornerback. And that's why we're going to get into the secondary now. Harold Perkins is a guy who I have kind of a love-hate relationship with.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's because he's so conflicting. He's like the inverse of Isaiah Simmons, where Isaiah Simmons was a safety and he did a bunch of linebacker stuff. Harold Perkins is a linebacker and he did a bunch of safety stuff. And he is an extremely athletic guy. Like that is one thing that absolutely pops out when you see it. He has the sideline to sideline range. I've seen a lot of people comp him to like the Devin Bush tier.
Okay.
I kind of like say he's like inverse Isaiah Simmons. I question the coverage technique for Harold Perkins, and I'm sure like one of your biggest qualms is like he's under 6'1",
No.
and he's only 220 pounds. 6-foot linebacker.
Well, if he was 6 foot and like 200, sure. But if he's at 220, then not like that's not the biggest concern to me. What my biggest concern is that like, yes, you mentioned the coverage issues, which isn't great. Throughout college, he has been portrayed as a positionless player on the defense, which is good. Like that's fine. But when he didn't have a true home on the field, that is the issue. His first year in college, he played on the edge, got some sacks, great. Next year, they move him to safety, and it didn't work out that well. And then the year after that, he's kind of like the, I don't know, what role would you put him as? Will linebacker-ish, kind of? Robber almost.
He was off ball.
Huh?
He played some off ball linebacker.
Yeah, I know he was an off ball, but
He was-
like I think they call it like Joker
Robber?
or Robber or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, Joker. Yeah, Joker. Yeah.
He played that role. He didn't really like stick out of a position as much as you would have liked him to. They were trying to move him around to find what he was best at.
Mhm. And I liked him probably the most at defensive end, which is kind of weird to say, you know? And the reason is because, and like, this is why I don't know if the Packers would draft, because you have Cullen Oliver, you have Micah Parsons, who are kind of in that same physique a little bit here. And I feel like in the NFL, Harold Perkins should probably transfer back to that defensive end role, whereas he can be that DE who can drop back into coverage. But here's the thing, though. Gannon likes that. Gannon likes to do that. All in all, though, I'm not sure because he's projected to go
5th
round
round.
2, round 3. I've seen round 2 and 3 because they're expecting him to blow the combine
Oh,
away,
yeah,
which I
that's
expect him
fair.
to as well. So I think it's going to be another one of those things where people look at it like, oh, I can get a better version of Isaiah Simmons in like the 3rd or 2nd round here. I'm not necessarily sure the Packers would do something like that, but again, it would be one of those things where they absolutely they threw me off with Savion last year, so this would be one of those a Savion pick.
Yeah, I would disagree with you a little bit. I don't like him as a defensive end. I like him more as like a Will type linebacker where like he's the QB contain guy. You're just having him read and react to plays and not really drop into coverage as much. maybe use him as a blitzer.
Basically an updated version of Quay.
Yeah.
Got Quay's coverage technique
Mhm.
down pretty well, unfortunately. But we do need to start thinking about the linebacker thing. And this next dude that you put down here out of USC, Eric Gentry, is a freak of nature. I mean, 6'6", almost 6'7", 221 pounds. A little light for a almost 6'7" guy. 10.5-inch hands, 35.25-inch arms. What on earth? Like, what is this guy? Did this guy make this guy in a
Yeah,
lab?
so that's the thing. I don't think there's been a linebacker at his frame to like succeed at the NFL level. He's a long rangey field defender. He can cover a lot of territory. He's good in pass coverage. He had a run defense grade of 67.5, a coverage grade of 70.5, which is about 80th percentile for linebackers, so that is pretty good. Pass rush grade of 71.5, so he's a good blitzer. The issue with him is his average depth of run tackle came at 3.9 yards down the field, so that's not great, and his missed tackle rate was 17.2%. Part of that missed tackle rate is the fact he is 221 pounds. Like, you would like him to add some weight to his frame. If you think he's comfortable playing at 240, hell, even 235, you'd feel a lot more comfortable with that. Because when you look at a player like Sonny Styles, but I think it's around like 2% is Sonny Styles' missed tackle rate. And those came in the college football playoff. So pretty much all season he was like impeccable.
Ohio State, man. Some of those linebackers
Yeah.
are a little different this year, especially.
Yeah, Sonny Styles' missed tackle rate was 2.2%. But when you compare that to
Oh, yeah.
Eric Gentry, who's 17.5,
How much does Sonny weigh compared to him?
Sonny is 243, and
Yeah.
he's 6'5".
You definitely need him. You need him to put on some weight. So do you think he comes in as more of like what round, I should ask?
Like anywhere from round 5 to round 7. Because if you think you can get like an elite pass coverage linebacker who has good run instincts and will occasionally miss a tackle, teams will take that. Because you just don't get that size. And he is pretty
No.
quick for his size.
You think he needs to like redshirt a year, basically?
I think
Or
he
can he
needs
just
to
come in?
find, like, he just needs to get into an NFL weight room.
Yeah.
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 He's Eric Gentry will run a
Gotta
4.56 40. Like,
Yeah, he can afford 20.
yeah. Or like you go play safety. I don't know what to tell you. But
Or you drop 20 pounds and go play safety.
yeah.
That would be interesting to see. Speaking of safeties, we don't need any, but we do need cornerbacks here. And Andre Fuller was a guy Packers did interview at the Shrine Bowl. Had a really, really good Shrine Bowl. He is a cornerback out of Toledo. He's 6'2", 202 pounds. He's kind of a long-framed individual. You and I both tend to like our larger corners.
Yes.
Just because of these wide receivers now, like DK, Christian Watson.
Pickens too.
I'm trying to think of who else. Yes, yeah, and like Jaden Higgins, Nico Collins. I can list a bunch of.
hmm
There's a lot of these big-bodied wide receivers that are out there. Andre Fuller, like physical corner. He's competitive at the catch. He has pretty good awareness in zone and just kind of knows when to time those pass breakups. One of the things you got to love to see is he's a willing tackler. And one of the things the Packers love is they love a guy who has done stuff on special teams, even though our special team still ends up being abysmal.
hmm
The kind of like downside is I know people tend to criticize it's a MAC level of competition. There wasn't a lot of INTs. And I don't judge INTs as harshly as other people. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just
They're very streaky. Is like they're
Yeah.
an inconsistent metric to judge a corner on. It's what
Mhm.
I look for more for corner is pass breakups because that's more consistent. That's you're getting your hand in there. You're swatting away.
Yeah, I kind of look at two things. I look at I should say it's kind of a combo of three things. I think the first thing is I try to look at what wide receiver are they typically on? Like who are they typically covering? And then two, how often are they being targeted? And then I kind of go to pass breakup. Because if you can kind of see, okay, like why is he not being targeted? Okay, well, he's not being thrown to. Okay. Who's he guarding? Oh, he's guarding their number one wide receiver and he's not being targeted. Like that tells me he's going to be good in coverage there, at least to a degree. And then I kind of topple on the pass. Okay, like what happens when he is targeted? Oh, he's getting pass breakups there. So Andre Fuller does have the pass breakups. I kind of see a bit of a Fabian Monroe in there. It's a size and length corner who wins with physicality and instincts more than necessarily elite speed. Packers fans should be familiar with another guy who was like that. It just took him a couple years to figure it out. in the NFL, Rasul Douglas.
Okay.
Rasul Douglas, I think, was about the same too. I'm pretty sure Rasul Douglas was 6'2".
I don't think he was 200 though.
I think he was close. You're right. He wasn't 200. He's actually 209.
Rasul Douglas was 209 pounds.
Yeah. 6'2", 209 pounds.
Oh my goodness. I did not. Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow. Okay.
so I like that. I do. I loved Rasul Douglas when he was here. It was awesome. I was sad to see him go. I understand why they did though at the time. Andre Fuller right now projected 6th and 7th round. I think you and I both agree they need to take 2 corners.
Yes.
I don't think there's any if, no, ands, or buts here. Unless they magically sign a guy in free agency,
Eric
which I don't
Stokes.
think they're going to do. Packers don't do retreads unless Aaron Rodgers is here.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Another guy, the next guy, I've been a big fan of him. I kind of spoke. I thought I talked about him in one of our other episodes, but I was completely wrong about that. I did mention him on X, though.
Okay.
I said, hey, this is a sneaky guy. You should look out for him because I really like him, and I think he's going to play well. And I think the Packers are really going to like Sierra Wright, cornerback, Nebraska.
Okay.
5'11", almost 6 foot, just shy of 6 foot, 184 pounds. I'd like to see him get to 190. I think he can play at 190. He does have sub 9-inch hands, which I don't really give a rip about. Your corner, not a wide receiver. 31-inch arms, 75-inch wingspan. He does a lot well.
Mm-hmm.
Like he does a lot well. He can play inside well. He can play outside well. I know we don't need I know we don't need another nickel. I think we have plenty of nickels, as everybody would say. I think he's a guy that can survive on the boundary and play very, very well. He has very good length. He has press skill. He has very good press skills there, which you like to see. I like his zone awareness. He has a lot of everything you'd like in a corner. It's just he went to Nebraska.
Yeah.
That's probably the thing. Like there is some I do question his lateral quickness a little bit, but overall I think there's I think he has a higher floor than some of these other than this next corner I'll talk about eventually, and that's just because the IQ is there. But he is limited to a degree athletically. I kind of get Tyreek Stevenson vibes for him. I know he's a Bear, but credit where credit is due. I do like Tyreek Stevenson as a player. I would like him more if he wasn't on the Bears. Have you watched much on Sierra Wright? I know he had an excellent Shrine Bowl to the point where he got invited to the Senior Bowl as well.
I haven't seen much on him past the Shrine stuff.
His Nebraska tape is fun.
I don't really watch Nebraska
Nope.
all that much.
Nobody does. Nobody does. Nobody watches that Nebraska. They've kind of faded into irrelevance again. But a cornerback that played for a team that hasn't been irrelevant but has been very much relevant, Alabama. I think you and I, we had conversations about him a little bit last year before he decided to go back. Dominique Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Dominique Jackson frustrated me this year a lot. And he frustrated me because I saw him last year and I was like, oh, I would take him in maybe round 3 or 4 last year because high upside guy, athletic. I thought he's an incredibly athletic player. And then you and I watched him, especially in those Georgia games. I don't know about you, but man, I felt like he quit. Did you get that vibe?
Not only that, he quit against Mizzou.
Yeah, and I don't understand why. I really don't. I don't know if it's a coaching thing. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. He had he's a nice size corner. I mean, just shy of 6'1", 192 pounds, 9-inch hands, 31-inch arms, and almost a 74-inch wingspan again. He's got the length. He's got the speed. He's got the catch-up ability.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what it is either. I don't think Kane Womack would have told his quarters to quit on plays.
No. And
could it have just been a thing with it? It was a weird year at Alabama all around. So
the technique, I didn't really see him evolve technique-wise. And then,
no,
like you said, though, too, is there are times where he just quit. And I don't know if he regretted going back to Alabama. Maybe that was the case.
Maybe. But that, in which case, you had extra eligibility, sit the rest of the year and transfer and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But now we're having this conversation as why were you playing like this?
The interviews are going to be big for him. Because I know he's going to test well at the combine.
And it'll be hard for teams to quit his athletic ability.
Mm-hmm. I personally, I wouldn't take him in the 3rd this year.
Okay.
Maybe the 4th because I say that.
Oh.
I say
whoa. Okay.
I say maybe, and the only reason I say maybe is because I look at who we hired as our DB coaches, and that's why I'm like, Okay.
Might have a reclamation project on their hand.
I
Yeah.
think they could dig up some gold here. If he's there in the fifth, I
Okay.
would do it. 100%. No questions asked. Like I would run that card up there if he's there in the fifth. Absolutely not in the third though. I'm unfortunately over. And it's not even that like too. His Shrine Bowl wasn't bad. Wasn't great either. It was okay. It was just again, it was all athleticism, very little technique. He does remind me of like I said, a later round Max Melton here, and I was a big fan of Max Melton last year. I think he's a great corner, and lo and behold, who coached Max Melton with Arizona? Ding, ding, ding. Jonathan Gannon. So that's why, like, I could see Jonathan Gannon be like, yeah, I can do something with this kind of a thing. He could also end up in Dallas because that's where Derek Ainsley went now, too. So that's a possibility. But overall, though, like, they need I think they need 2 corners. You think they need 2 corners. And they need 2 defensive tackles. There's this last guy we should talk about, and we're kind of
just wrap it up with some special teams.
Special teams, get a kicker here. Trey Smack, kicker, Florida. Another guy I saw quite a bit here, being in Florida. 6'1", 190 pounds, 8 5/8 inch hands, 30-inch arms, 74-inch wingspan. I mean, I hope
Wingspan is not relevant for a kicker, but
not
that's
relevant
okay.
for a kicker. No.
Yeah. Strong leg. I think you can teach him how to do the kickoffs like properly in today's NFL and not kick it into the end zone and actually have it land in the landing zone.
Brandon McManus, we're talking about you.
Yeah. The 6'1", 190 is like kind of nice because you could be a +1 on special teams. Like you shouldn't be afraid to tackle someone.
That is a good point. That's a very good point. I honestly didn't even think of that.
The issue is he's a little inconsistent beyond 50, but I'm sure like with a good special teams coach that can be taught. Unfortunately, we don't have one of those, so it would kind of maybe require an overhaul. What else was I going to say? Yeah, that's about like I can't remember what kicker did it, but I saw in a training camp that there was a kicker for an NFL team, which I can't remember, had a GoPro on the top of their helmet pointed down so that they could see their mechanics during the kicking motion and not just work off of feel and like what felt right or what felt different.
That's a good idea.
So
Smart player right there.
mhm.
Probably either Brandon Aubrey or Little for the Jaguars. I feel like those 2 guys would do that, and that's why they're so good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I do think they have Havzarisic. McManus is going to be interesting to see what happens. Like he has a roster bonus due in March. So it's going to be we're going to have to kind of see what happens there with him. I definitely agree. I definitely think they should bring in a guy here for more competition. Like 3 guys, I think it's appropriate. Or 2, if they really believe in Havzarisic and they want to cut McManus, we'll have to kind of see what happens there. But I think this guy's like a UDFA, right? I mean, most kickers are, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't really want to draft you don't really want to draft a special teamer. Usually doesn't work out too well. Jake Moody.
No. Who was the last one we did draft? Did we draft Andrews Carlson?
Yes, we did. Unfortunately, we did draft Andrews Carlson.
Oh my goodness!
I think he was like a 5th round pick too, or something.
Mm-hmm.
They're 6. Yeah, don't draft special teams players. Like that's probably if you get anything from this episode, it's don't draft special teams players. Yeah, he was drafted in the 6th in 2023. But Shrine Bowl, I mean, I like what I saw here. This is probably one of the more like interesting Shrine Bowls for me. And more importantly, though, I am looking forward to the Senior Bowl, which will do the same kind of format here next. We'll talk about the offense first. Maybe we'll mix it up, Go defense first. Just kind of throw people for a loop here.
Well, from the preliminary Senior Bowl stuff that I've done, the offensive stuff hasn't been super interesting.
It really hasn't. we're probably gonna stick with offense first because we really don't need to do much.
It'll be a 15-minute episode.
Yeah, no.
You'll hear us talk about offensive linemen for 15 minutes and then call it a day.
And then be done. Maybe the occasional wide receiver, but I doubt it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what happens. But that is all, folks. Thanks for tuning in. And like I said, if you haven't listened, go back, listen to the episode where we just talk about some offensive line, folks. And then come back next time. We'll talk about Senior Bowl.
To Packers fans coast to coast, thanks for going beyond the frozen tundra. We appreciate you tuning in. And as always, go Pack Go!